he said something to me that night that I thought, that night by the pool, where I thought, Jesus Christ, you know, things like, she's gonna, you know, all she's got is her looks, and, you know, she has no talent, and when her tits start to sag, and her face gets wrinkly, nobody is gonna be interested in her, for anything, and she, you know, better, like, figure out another way to survive, and shit like that. Sorry, pardon me, things like that.
I know. That's stripping. Well, there's always that.
You're right. You can write a book. You can write a book. I know you can write a book. Oh, is this gonna be good for your book? Oh, should I have you sign an NDA for your book?
You don't need
your book. Is this gonna be good for your book? Is this gonna be good for your book?
I'm embarrassed saying it now. He responded cruelly. He told me it's what I fucking deserve, and that I'd wake up alone, and that no one would ever love me because all of this, pointing to my face or body, all of this was going to go away. No one would ever love me. My tits sag, no one would ever love me, and I better get used to waking up alone. And he said this is all my fault and what I asked for.
But you're right. I mean, hey, at least I didn't do like a TV show where I was heartbroken in my fucking God, that would be like embarrassing. If only I was with someone in their 50s that could point that out to me. Imagine mine if I had play a non-sexualized object. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. You're right. You got it all figured out.
You don't even know what movies are on. You haven't even taken an interest.
If only I could be like you. If only I could be like you.
I had to watch your fucking...
What, if anything, did Mr. Depp tell you about his struggles with drugs and alcohol?
He told me that when he was very, very young, like 13 or something, he started drinking and taking drugs, I think, or at least drinking quite heavily. He was even kind of like, yeah, it's crazy, I know, but I've been doing it my whole life and built like a tank. And so that was kind of the nature of the conversation. And he told me that he had struggled with ever not drinking or ever not doing drugs. And he would express shame or regret about times that he had been inebriated to the point of falling down or embarrassing himself, you know, urinating on himself, things like that. Over the course of those 2 years, Mr. Depp told me verbatim that he was addicted to OxyContin.
I wish I fucking hadn't bought into any of your fucking lies, your bullshit, your sober fucking presence, your fucking goodness, your sweetness, all the lies. I wish I hadn't bought into the months of you being you. I wish I hadn't bought into the promises. I wish I fucking thought I could have kids with you. You're a fucking kid yourself. I wish I hadn't bought into any of the lies you sold. Talk about fake bill of goods. You're the biggest fucking seller of fake fucking bill of goods.
In his relationships, I'd experienced great bouts of jealousy in relationships that had also led to a lot of drinking and a lot of rage activities. He told me that happened with Winona. He told me that happened with Winona Ryder and Kate Moss. He told me that had happened with Vanessa Paradis.
Come on, go be a real married man and go deal with your shit the way that a man does. Go run to the next house. Every man does. Yeah, go. Run away. I know it's hard to look at yourself.
You're fucking ridiculous clown.
It's hard.
Panic fucking clown.
It's hard. It's hard.
Screwing everybody else over to get
You're
your
right.
fucking...
I try. That's what I do.
You're the most spoiled fucking brat. You've got everybody out here almost full, but it don't last long.
You're right. I'm sorry. You're right. You gotta figure it out.
You don't have figure out what you have to offer as opposed to going out and get your tits out.
You're right. That's what I do.
Well, yeah.
And what, if anything, did Mr. Depp say to you about his perception of Amber's role in him becoming sober and clean.
He expressed a number of times that he felt like she was his leash and she was holding him back from doing what he wanted to do in terms of substances and alcohol. When Amber was in England, Marilyn Manson and Paul Bettany came over at one point, and there was a great deal of cocaine and alcohol involved. Mr. Manson and Mr. Depp partook in a lot of cocaine. Mr. Depp, as far as I could see, always had a cigarette or joint in his mouth at all times, to the point where I was confused about how he could function. He also showed me his marijuana closet that had, I don't know, tens and tens of pounds of weed in it.
So I'm going to now take you up to April 21, 2016, your 30th birthday party. Will you please tell the jury what happened that night?
At that time, we had a fitting that day or the day before, and he missed it, and he was kind of disappearing at that time, like at night, vaguely saying meetings. He had meetings, but then he'd be gone for sometimes 2 days. Just not coming home and that sort of thing, coming home after a bender. My birthday was coming up, and on my birthday I said, you gotta make it to my birthday party. We had a dinner planned at our penthouse. I said it would be important for me if you made it.
Objection, hearsay.
He told me at some point that day that he had scheduled a business meeting or a money meeting, I think he said, maybe, at 7, which is around the time my birthday was planned for. It might have been planned for 8 p.m. Of course, once my party was starting, he wasn't there. Texted me at some point to let me know that he was going to make it, but that he was running late, and that continued throughout my party. We finished dinner, and we were cleaning up, and kind of everyone was still leaving because we were waiting to give him an opportunity to show up before everyone left. I remember being very careful about how I worded what I was feeling about my birthday and him having missed it. An argument followed that. I got up out of bed. Johnny's side of the bed was closer to the door than mine. I remember him blocking the door, blocking me to get out, and kind of shoving me down, and we had a verbal argument, and then that became a shoving match. I tried to shove him back. I kind of felt myself retreat into the bedroom. At some point, he picked up a large, I guess it's a Magnum size, not a normal size, a large size bottle of champagne, and hurled it at me. This time it went through a painting, and I loved this painting. I remember it just went right through the canvas, left a giant hole in it. And I remember thinking we shouldn't have art in our bedroom anymore. And the fight continued into the salon area, which is outside of our bedroom at the top of the stairs. Johnny picked up my phone. I don't know why. I don't remember what he was saying when he did it, but he picked up my phone and threw it out of the open window of the salon area, out onto the street, out onto the downtown street that this window overlooked. In that moment, I went, "Oh no, you don't." I saw his on the countertop and picked it up and threw his immediately, 2 seconds later. We were still screaming names at each other and screaming at each other. And I walk around the side of his desk, and the next thing I know, he has me by the hair and he pulls me down. I hit the side of the desk. I remember things flying off of the side of the desk that I hit with my body. I remember trying to fight him off of me. At some point, we're back in my main bedroom, and I believe I was getting my toothbrush out of that bathroom And when I came out, we had another shoving match, but this one he kind of like, I remember he chest bumped me in this like bro-y way, chest bumped me and fell to the floor. And when I got back up, he kind of held me down by the shoulders down on the side of the bed, kind of held me, wrestled me down on the bed. I remember I got up once or twice before I ended up on the bed, and he grabbed me, did this thing that he did sometimes, and he would taunt me, grab me by the pubic bone, pubic area. Just as best I can describe it is he kind of just pushed me down, held me down by it, and kind of pulled me into it, and he was asking me, kind of taunting me, asking me if I thought I was so fucking tough. I think you're such a fucking tough guy, huh? Are you so tough now? Look who's so tough. You want to be a man? Tough like a man now?
What, if anything, did Mr. Depp say to you about whether he wanted to become sober and clean?
Mr. Depp expressed to me that he wanted to get sober for Amber, that he didn't enjoy being sober, that it wasn't fun, and that it was distressing and exhausting, and very hard to do. He really resented having to be sober. He didn't want to be.
Both individually and socially, people only want to talk about the side effects of drug addiction. They want to talk about the side effects for the person getting high, and they kind of want to talk about the side effects for our society as a whole, as if the primary effect, the desired effect, as if getting high itself, as if getting drunk itself were not the problem that we need to address. In this same way, in this same wise, for these same reasons, people focus almost entirely on drug addiction amongst the poor, drug addiction amongst people who are not wealthy enough to be able to conceal the side effects, who aren't wealthy enough to be able to cope with the side effects. And yes, it is among the poor that drug addiction is more easily visible. They are not wealthy enough to conceal it. Now, partly you can visualize this just about living in an apartment versus living in a mansion. If you live in a small apartment in an apartment building, your neighbors see, they see you when you come and go. They see the number of empty bottles going out in the recycling, and they're going to hear the noise through the ceiling, through the floor, through the thin walls that separate those apartments as you're all clustered together. So yeah, partly there's just this aspect of being able to afford the privacy that lets you ruin your own life without impacting others as a sort of side effect. But partly also, people who have money can employ others to assist them. Whether that's the person who cleans the carpet, who cleans up your own pile of vomit, the person who takes your clothes to the dry cleaner, the person who takes your kids to school when you're too drunk or hungover to do it yourself, all the little caretakers and assistants and secretaries that come together to, in effect, enable your continued addiction. Those people conceal your drug addiction from the general public. They conceal it from the police. And to some extent, those assistants conceal the nature of drug addiction from the addict himself, from the addict herself, the person who's using drugs and alcohol. They can go on kidding themselves about the extent to which they're still a highly effective person. They're still living a normal, sober life because all these people are doing the work of being a grown-up for them. I feel that Amber Heard's position in this was like a woman trying to help a man climb out of quicksand. But part of her problem was that she wasn't really standing on a solid foundation herself. As much as she may have wanted to save the soul of Johnny Depp, to rescue him from his lifelong drug addiction. She wasn't 100% sober. She didn't really represent a contrasting paradigm. The way you need to, the way you must, as an absolute prerequisite, if you are going to represent sobriety, if you are going to preach sobriety. It's not enough to say, well, I drink half as much alcohol as you do, so I'm going to help you get a quarter of the way there. I'm going to help you catch up with me. I'm going to put out this rope and help pull you out of the quicksand. You have to be standing on a solid foundation of absolute sobriety. Zero alcohol, not less alcohol, zero. Zero use of drugs. Zero reliance on mind-altering substances to modify your moods, to cope with the sorrows and struggles in your life. Zero use of mind-altering substances for celebration, for this sense of elation, so on and so forth. We can't really preach and promote what we don't practice ourselves, whether that is on the most intimate scale of the relationship of husband to wife, parent to child, or whether that is on a larger political scale of preaching to hundreds of people, to thousands of people, of trying to change on a massive scale society as a whole.
I think it was he said or she said, Johnny thinks that you and I together defecated on his pillow. I think the words used were shit on his pillow. So I started laughing, and I was laughing, she was laughing, and when I realized that he was serious, I was like, okay, look, first of all, I wasn't there that day. He came clomping back down the stairs, and I heard like a noise, and then the phone dropped, and he said to her, "Oh, you think I hit you? You think I fucking hit you? What if I peel your fucking hair back?" And then I heard the phone drop again, and then I heard her scream.